Everyone, this is Aaron Ozy, Director of Marketing at Music Theater Works. I'm coming to you live from the North Shore Center for the Performing Arts in Skokie. Today is another very exciting day for Music Theater Works as we enter day 2 of the debut production of our 2022 season, Lakaja Fall. And with me is the star of the show, Ginger Minge.
Where? Oh, here. Yes. Oh my goodness, my skin is screaming at me right now.
Well, you look fabulous. Thank you.
Thank you.
I really appreciate you coming and answering a few questions for us. And
Yeah.
it means so much to us at Music Theater Works that you're part of the show and you're leading the charge. It really does.
Well, it means a lot to me too. You know, this has been a dream of mine for a very long time, and I had to wait for the right fit, and luckily, this has been it.
Yeah, because from what I heard, you had been offered the role or had the opportunity to pursue the role in other instances.
A lot of times.
Okay.
But it never felt right because a lot of people look at this on the surface and they're like, oh, it's drag. So it's all about like the lashes and the lipstick and the wigs and the shoes. And that's really just kind of the cherry on top of the cake.
Yeah.
This show is about the family.
Right.
And every time I talked to any director who was interested in casting me, they didn't get that.
Right.
So when I talked to Kyle, I said, so what's the show about? He said, you've never seen it? I said, no, I've seen it. I want to make sure you know what it's about. And he told me, well, it's really about the family. And I said, that's exactly what I think. So let's do it.
Wow. It's just like that. Huh?
Just like that.
And, as soon as I knew that you were a part of the show, I mean, it was very magical and special for me because, I'm a big fan myself and I know everyone else is in our company. So, and this was just like the cherry on top of it all. I mean, and to kick off the season, our season is very diverse in what we're putting on. And for Lakaja Fall to kick things off, especially with you, I mean, it really made things, interesting because all the other shows that we have now we're doing in the North Theater as well, and it's more intimate and immersive because
I don't feel like this show would have fit on the main stage here.
Right.
It would have fit, but it would have been less impactful because in this venue, you're a part of the show. You're so up close and personal with everybody. There's that instant connection.
Yeah.
And I'm able to go up to people in the middle of the show and talk to them and have a conversation. And I feel like that makes it a little more real.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And, when you go into the North Theater, it's not like you're walking in there and there's a set on a stage. It feels like you're there.
Yeah.
It really transports the audience and it makes things, very special because there's magic going on in the audience, on the stage, and behind the stage too. Because
our set designer is so fantastic.
Yeah.
I mean, I got to meet him for the first time on opening night when he was here. Lovely man, but just so brilliantly talented in the way that he can look at a space. And I know this because I've now seen the rest of his pictures, his designs for other things.
Yeah.
He really looks at the space and kind of finds what the heart of it is. And then makes it so it's accessible for everybody.
Yeah. And, I had an opportunity over the past several days to interview a lot of the other cast members, and I asked them all about what it's like to work with you. And
I've been watching.
You have. And, I said something to Jason Richards. I said, stars have gravity themselves. They pull everyone together because they're bright. And you really make everyone on stage feel like they're part of a family. And, as you said, and, and I get that feeling from everyone that you all understand the vision and, you're very much set on making sure that the show is successful.
Yes, absolutely. And, I get the glory. I get to be the star of the show. But honestly, this show is Jason's. It's George's show. It's his story, and he really drives it. And it's so easy to fall in love with him every single night on stage. He's just one of the most giving actors I've ever worked with, and everything that he does comes from such a place of honesty that you feel it.
Yeah.
I've seen a lot of productions of this show, a lot more than I can even name right now. I saw the 2004 revival on Broadway, which was all drag spectacle. It was beautiful.
Yeah.
Had no heart. And then I saw the last revival on Broadway, which was a little more about the family, but just ugly. It was just kind of like not a pretty production to look at.
Sure.
And I feel like this one really kind of hits that balance in the middle.
Yeah.
Because the drag's not an afterthought. It's still really fashionable. It's still really fun and daring, but the focus is really on the story. And it's nice to be the first actual drag queen who has played this role in a major production. I feel like it kind of shades it in a different way.
Yeah, and I've told Kyle and I've told many others at Music Theater Works and other cast members that this is by far one of the most historically significant shows that our company has ever put on, because we've never had someone of your caliber leading the charge like this. And seriously, and it's very special for us to see that, because it's setting a new bar for our company, because for a long time we've always maintained that local community feel, but at the same time though, we have to understand that we're growing and we are becoming a bigger name in the Chicagoland area. So we need to do bigger things. And, it's just all part of that natural progression. And I know that you have your hands in so many different things yourself. And it's incredible. I can't even understand how you manage it all. I mean, I'm sure it's very stressful on you.
Well, I manage it all because my husband, CJ, has hold of the calendar. I am not allowed to look at it until the day of, because when I used to really be hands-on with the schedule, I would get overwhelmed to the point where I wasn't functioning to the best of my ability. So now we have this system worked out where I wake up and I go, where are we and what are we doing? Like, what's next? What's happening? And he tells me, and then I'm just able to kind of focus on giving my all to whatever it is that I'm supposed to be doing.
Right. And I know that you joined the rehearsal process later here, at least in Chicago, but you had been preparing when you were down in Florida, or wherever you were at the time. So you travel a lot. What was it like getting ready for the role in general?
Well, it's one that I have wanted to play for so long that I knew most of it, but the script that I had was actually the original script, and the script that we're doing here is the revival. So there's key differences, which I didn't even realize until like the night before I was supposed to leave to come here. So I'm relearning things on the plane because I wanted to get here and just like hit the ground running.
Yeah.
I didn't want to hold anybody else back. I didn't want to hold myself back. I just wanted to really dive into it. So I'm reading through and I'm making it all fit into my mind and into my body. But a lot of it just really came from sitting there and dissecting every little nuance. Because to me, acting is superficial, but reacting is natural. And I've always considered myself to be a reactor. You really have to put yourself in the position of the person that you are playing, and you have to just allow everybody else's performance to inform what you're doing.
Yeah.
So all I could do was learn the lines, learn the songs, and then get here and have everybody else kind of dictate where the rest of it went.
Right. And, something you do very well, and this is just from my perspective on stage, is you improvise so much. And that's what really makes each performance unique, because we don't know what you're going to say. And
I don't even know what I'm going to say most of the time.
But it's so natural because you're in that creative mindset that it just comes, and sometimes, most times people always ask you, like, where do your ideas come from? Sometimes they just come from the heart. Like, they just come out of nowhere.
Yeah.
Well,
it's another one of those things about being a reactor. I'm literally reacting to whatever's around me. So during the La Cage aux Folles number, I have 3 monologue sections.
Right.
And they have a basic skeleton. I know I have to hit A, B, C, and D before I start singing, but it's everything in there that comes directly from the audience.
Right.
So it's whatever you're wearing or whatever. If I ask you a question and you give me a different answer than I'm expecting, we just kind of roll with it. Mm-hmm. And that's what's fun. I have a lot of people that ask me every year, like a lot of drag queens, I'm auditioning for RuPaul's Drag Race. What should I do? My advice is always take an improv class. Yeah. I think everybody in the world should take an improv class at one point in time, just because it really helps you just to kind of like go with the flow. Yeah. With whatever happens.
It really expands your mind to, embrace some unique and unusual concepts, on the fly as you're doing
exactly.
Things, right?
It makes you a better conversationalist as well,
yeah.
I think, because it really teaches you to listen.
Right.
And to build on what somebody else is saying.
Those who listen are the most powerful in the room. Those who talk most, maybe not so much. But it really speaks to that. And one thing, I know it can be an intimidating question, but an easy question, and everyone has their own way of answering it. What is your favorite musical number out of this show?
My favorite musical number out of this show, I think the heart of the show is Look Over There.
Okay.
George's song.
Sure.
It is it literally is what the entire story hinges on. It's, this may not be the family that you expected, may not be the family that you wanted, but it's the family that you got.
Yeah.
and nobody is ever going to love you the way that these people are.
Yeah.
So I feel like that's the one song that if you removed it or changed it in any way, it would completely destroy what the message of the story is.
Sure. And I think the message of the story is so relevant today. And
I have to tell you, I was doing an interview. I've done a lot of interviews since I got here a couple weeks ago, and they're great because I love to talk. But the person interviewing me actually said, when this show came out, it was so relevant, and now it's just kind of become like a mainstream hit, like Hello Dolly and Mame. And I said, I feel like that's not true. I feel like it is more relevant now than it has ever been. Because, I'm from Florida. We have, the Don't Say Gay bill, which just passed, which is just, it's heart-wrenching for me being from there. It's like we have enough strikes against us in Florida. Right. We had to add one to the top.
Right.
Texas, the trans kids, they're trying to prosecute the parents of these trans kids for supporting their children. And it feels like the second that a lot of mainstream America felt like we were, that they had bestowed the ability to have families on our community. Now they're trying to censor the way that we run our families. Now they're trying to take back some of those rights. And to me, I only speak for myself, but if I never had a slice of cake, I would probably miss it less than if you offered me one and then took it away.
Right.
And that's really what a lot of this feels like right now. It's like, we'll let you have it, but now we're going to start taking a little bit more away.
Right.
And I feel like that's what Lacage is. We've created this family. It's ours. And then me, in particular, my character, piece by piece, it starts getting taken away.
Right.
And I also told that same interviewer, I was like, she said, who should come and see the show? I said, well, everybody should come and see it. But I would encourage people who have maybe some bigoted tendencies in their family members to bring them along.
Yeah.
And because I feel like it's the message is given in a way that it is accessible.
Right.
It doesn't hit you over the head. It does it with fun costumes and music and dance, but it also really kind of teaches you a little bit.
Yeah. And, I know one other person on the creative team that you've worked with before is Justin LeBlanc. And
yes.
He made you look gorgeous, and all the different outfits that he created. He was explaining to me yesterday how intricate, even in the opening sequence where everyone's wearing the zip tie costumes, how he had individually stitched all those together, put all that together, and how long it took. And he's like, if you're actually sitting in those tables around the stage, you can hear them, like the different pieces moving.
Well, so my I Am What I Am gown is made out of zip ties.
Oh, okay.
And I couldn't think of a more perfect outfit to wear for that, for the simple fact that it's one of the most uncomfortable things I've ever worn. So it already puts me on edge when I have to stand there and perform in it. And it does, like every time, if you're silent and you're still, it doesn't bother you. But the second you make the tiniest move, you hear all the plastic rubbing and scraping and hitting. And really, it's silly to think about, but it really just does help you like stay in that moment.
Yeah, for sure. And, it really adds a lot of authenticity to the whole
It's
production.
smart.
Yeah.
And also drag is known for taking nothing and making something spectacular.
Right. Yeah. Exactly.
And I feel like this is the one production that I have seen, been a part of, like experienced that really gets the ingenuity of drag.
Right.
Because it's not all $5,000 gowns. It's not what you see on Drag Race all the time.
Right.
I started 18 years ago in little nightclubs in Florida. I started at Pulse, went to Hamburger Mary's, I went to Parliament House and Southern Night, like all of the clubs there. And I will tell you, we were sitting down with zip ties and trash bags and things that we could pull from whatever the supply closet was, trying to put together outfits.
Wow, that's incredible.
Yeah, and I think that's really fun for the audience to kind of see something that looks like it would have been created by the group of girls that are in the show.
Right, because art is a representation of the creator, and it's very personal. So art is very personal, and that's very much seen in this show. Other than you being the lead in this show. Everyone listening at home, I'm sure everyone wants to know in your own words, what is one reason why everyone should come and see La Cage aux Folles?
Because, like we just said, it is more relevant now than it's ever been.
Yeah.
I feel like even if you think you know this story, if you've seen The Birdcage or you've seen even this musical before, it's done in such a new way that I feel like a lot of the nuance and heart of the actual story with the family is in the forefront.
Sure.
I feel like you're going to understand it a lot better than you might have before.
Yeah, no, I totally agree. Well, I really sincerely appreciate you coming on and just answering a few questions for us. It means a lot. Everyone listening at home, please visit musictheaterworks.com and get your tickets for an upcoming performance and come see Ginger. All right.
We'll see you there.
Bye.